All righty, traders. This is Blake Morrow, and you are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I hope you guys are doing well. Happy Tuesday to you. Well, we did get a turnaround Tuesday, that's for sure. We saw the markets, the markets have rallied. Let me show you where we're at right now. And this is the S&P. I was, shared this chart in the chat room a little bit earlier. And I thought we were, building some sort of triangle consolidation. And then we overshot. So let's go over to the hourly chart here. This is a 4-hour chart. Here's your hourly chart. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we did just overshoot here. And I think we are just really just consolidating. One of the things that leads me to believe that the stock market might see a little bit of selling pressure from this point forward, or, when I say selling pressure, I should say the stock market might consolidate here, is we are seeing currencies like the US dollar, Mexican peso is holding up and holding gains pretty well. Looks like the US dollar and Norwegian krona just hit this. Well, this is the longer term 618 retracement just below those lows. It looks like we're going to hold up here. Dollar Canadian also made brief new lows and then is bouncing a little bit. And then you take a look at crude. Crude might have stopped here at 80. Where did it just go? Oh my gosh, where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. Crude just may have hit, it's 79.59, but we just hit a new high. Relative strength is still divergent intraday. So crude might pull back too. So I'm thinking that we might see a consolidation here. But one of the other things that I've noticed is, the Kiwi, for example. I shorted this yesterday. Now we do have the RBNZ a little bit later, and I think this is going to be one that you might want to hang around for today. But this hasn't gone anywhere today. The Aussie's up, but challenging this trend line that we put here earlier this morning, earlier today, and it's holding that trend line right now. So I'm not too overly confident that we're going to see much more of a bounce at this stage in the game. I think that there's a risk that we just consolidate here. So anyway, just some food for thought. One of the other things I just got an email from one of the guys that I used to trade with, and he was talking about the downward pressure of silver and looking to be a buyer because of this really big divergent move. As we've made it to the downside, you can see that divergent relative strength. But I'm not overly convinced that like these precious metals are ready to move higher either. I think that we're still struggling. You can see gold, not really going anywhere. It's actually trading pretty heavy considering the weakness that we're seeing in the dollar at this moment in time. Now, speaking of the dollar, let's go over to the dollar index. And here's the dollar index. We're consolidating recent gains. I still think that the dollar is at risk of a break higher. And maybe it is following, the data later today, later this week, excuse me, with the jobs report later on Friday. I don't think a downside surprise is going to affect the dollar too much lower, but I do think if we get an upside surprise in jobs, that could be a market mover. The ISM data today. Now, the ISM data, came in a little stronger than expected, and the employment component was good. So, that's something to think about as we head into NFP on Friday. I mean, if the data comes in strong, which people are expecting more of a miss, but if it comes in strong, maybe that's the catalyst that drives the dollar higher at the end of the week. Just some things to think about. Rick said, hey, is this the roundup or am I watching a recording versus the Morning Edge? Hey, Rick, this is the roundup and you are not watching a recording, and glad you're here. So anyway, let's take a look at some of the other markets too. Like, here's the Dow. the Dow bounced. Actually, I should probably put it like this. The Dow, bounced off the 200-day moving average a couple of days back, but we're just kind of consolidating. Here's your NASDAQ. It's up today, but we're just challenging the previous support, or you could say the neckline. Here, let's go over here. This is basically the neckline of the head and shoulder pattern. So I'm not, oh, did I say the morning edge? I said the morning edge? Dang, I meant the daily roundup. Sorry. I'm tired. I'm still playing catch up. And you know what I did yesterday? I did squats. I could barely go up and down my stairs today. Did squats. When's the last time you guys did squats? Anybody do squats? Hurts. Like I can't, my legs are rubber. All right. Anyway, there's the NASDAQ. Like I said, there's the Dow. The S&P, I still think we're consolidating as well. So I wouldn't get too overly excited about chasing risk higher here. Lorraine said you just did squats 10 minutes ago. Denise says every day while I brush my teeth. No, I mean squats with weights, like with, I don't do a lot of weight with squats, by the way. I put 245s and a 45-pound bar on, and that's it. It's not a lot of weight, but Tamer said like a decade ago. It's been a while for me too. And that's why I'm hurting today. Lorraine said no weights. Well, that's, hey, it's important to work your knees. That's the important part, right? Okay. So let's take a look at some of these yen pairs. So I just put on a Canadian yen short. So this is the reason why. And if you believe that crude oil has peaked around here, this might not be a bad setup. Here's probably the safer way to trade it. I'm long dollar Canadian from yesterday. I sold some Canadian yen today. So and both positions are pretty small. I don't want to be really overweight in Canadian dollars right now. Not with crude as strong as it is, but this is what I'm thinking with the Canadian yen. Here's your intraday RSI, right? It's overbought. We just hit the 618 retracement. You guys can see that hit 618 retracement. It was probably enough to stop everybody out that was, playing this head and shoulder pattern. I've thought the dollar Canadian, or the Canadian yen has been bullish since we broke here at 87. That was a couple of weeks back. You guys probably remember that. I did a lot of updates on ForexAnalytix on basic technical analysis. But since then, now that we're here, that break above those highs and that 618 retracement, that test, if we get back below, like let's call it 88.30. So right around, and you can see I have an alarm set up. So let me just zoom in there. So right around here, if you want to be on the safe side, like I'm already nibbling. I don't know if I want to stick around. But by the end of the day, if we close back below this 88.30 level, then I'm probably going to hang on to it for the next couple of days. So it's one of those tests of the 618, a little false breakout, and then I feel more confident about it reversing. Chad said it's Squat-tober. If the bar is not bending, you're just pretending. Woo! Chad, that's funny. That's funny, man. All right. Anyway, so that's kind of a nice little setup for today. Nick says, do you think we could see a bounce in the VIX, or are we possibly moving lower to fill the gap at 1819? 1893 to 19. Let's take a look at the VIX. I really haven't taken a really good look at the VIX. I mean, one thing that I have to admit, VIX is holding up pretty well. I mean, we're spending now. This has been, what is that? 5 days above the 200-day moving average. 5-6 days above the 200-day moving average. that's not saying that it's never been done, but to spend this much time above the 200-day moving average and seeing that S&P consolidate, that might be a risk that we move higher. I don't really trade volatility that much. I don't, so the simple answer is if stocks hold these levels, we should fill the gap. When you say fill the gap, it's going to fill this gap. This is what Nick's asking about. Ah, shoot. If we can hold this stock market can hold this rally, then we should fill the gap. But I'll tell you what, if the stock market moves lower, I wouldn't be surprised to see volatility back at 22, 23. So Alan asked, Aussie yen, Blake, I'm short at 81.30 and 81.15. Let's take a look at the Aussie yen. I don't have a real opinion of the Aussie yen. Oh, well, I guess we are up against, you know what? That chart looks exactly like the S&P, right? So there's your Aussie yen. Here's your S&P. Again, let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay. There's your S&P. Here's your Aussie yen, right? So I guess that does look pretty bullish right now. I don't know. I don't know if I'd give it much above these levels here. If I was short, and I'm not short, by the way, I don't know if I'd risk much above 80. What is that? 81.50? Yeah, that's Alan. That's probably but at the same time, if we get up there and stocks aren't breaking higher, they're not rallying, then maybe you hang out. I don't know. That's a tough call. That's a tough call. Steph says Euro Aussie looking ugly again. This Euro Aussie, it was my chart of the day yesterday, and I do think that this is the head and shoulder pattern neckline. I am not playing it. I'm kind of watching it because if it does break down, then that's a pretty good indication that stocks are going to be, moving higher from here, right? But if we can hold these levels, that kind of keeps me in the risk off boat. I personally would actually like to buy the Euro Aussie. I would. I'd rather play it on the long side, but it has been trading pretty heavy. Actually, the Euro's been trading heavy against not just the Euro Aussie. I mean, look at the Euro Sterling, which I do have a core long at 80. My core long's at 85.50 right now. But I took some off when we were up here. So I've been kind of just working this core position. From the false breakdown here, just kind of playing it back up. But that's pretty much it. I just have to recognize that the euro is kind of trading heavy against everybody. Jason said the Euro Canadian also support after a 500, also at support after a 550 pip drop. Yeah, let's see. I haven't traded the Euro Canadian in a while. Ooh, God. Hold on real quick. So this probably is going to act very similar to the Canadian yen. You know what I mean? So let me see something else here. This is a long term, right? That's kind of scary. That's kind of scary. Raj says Amanda is long Euro Aussie. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, if you think Euro Aussie is going to go higher, this is the place to do it. I think this is very, very big support. But at the same time, remember what equities have done. Let's just go to the S&P really quick. And I'll just give you like a real quick rundown. I mean, if the S&P does one of these, like let's say we're building like a kind of a wedge that looks like that, right? And turn around Tuesday sticks and we do one of these, we rally back to like 44.50. Where do you think the Euro Aussie is going to go? My 2 cents would be it probably sees the 200-day moving average first. And so I do want to be long. I just don't know if I want to be long here. You know what I mean? But I do see the risk reward. That's pretty, you know, evident. Tamer says the dollar yen seems to be turning bullish. You know, I'm not in the dollar yen bullish camp. Yields are moving higher, but what did we write down for resistance today in the dollar yen? 111.70. That would be the top of this range. So that high, yeah, I don't know. One way we could look at the dollar yen right now is probably like this. If you're really a bull, I think you can look at it like this. I don't know if I'd want to be bullish here, but you know, if you want to be a bull, you know, maybe you buy it down here around the 110.50 level, something like that. All right, guys, and gals, I hope you guys have a great day, and gals. I think you have to just really watch crude here. I'm kind of thinking crude's done. It's finito, but you know, keep an eye on these patterns in play. I think the Canadian can play a little bit here. And even Norway. I mean, you know, the US dollar Norwegian krona pushed below its 200-day moving average today. Played below the 200-day moving average. But if we close back above like 855, people are going to go false breakdown, you know, and that's also that'll play into a crude pullback, you know, like, you know, not being able to take out 80. And Denise said, thank you. Also waiting to see what happens tonight with the RBNZ, the rate statement. Yeah, I'll my son's got practice during that point in time. I will be not in front of my computer, but I'll be watching the Kiwi because I do have some Kiwi short exposure from yesterday. I don't know if I'm going to hold it because I'm basically flat. I'm up 2.5 pips, but that's from yesterday. After that big of a rally today, to being up, just like being even positive, being short Kiwi from yesterday, I'm kind of happy about that. But I don't want to stick around if it's just going to be it's just, you know, a break even trade, not going into the RBNZ unknown, especially with stocks up here. So I guess a lot depends on what happens later today. Anyway, you guys and gals, have a great one. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the chat rooms or tomorrow. Bye-bye.